Hello, and welcome to the Movie Universe. I'm your host, Movie Fan. Today, I'll be talking about Ratatouille. This is one of my favorite Pixar movies of all time because I love the story, I love the characters, I just love everything about it. Now, we all know the story really well. I mean, it's about a rat named Remy who wants to become a chef because he's got a gift, and at the same time, he's a rat, so what's he supposed to do? And by sheer luck or fate or whatever, he ends up meeting a man named Linguini, who turns out to be the son of a great chef called Gusteau, and they team up. Because of this, I obviously don't need to tell anyone the story. So instead, I'm going to talk about why I love this movie so much. Now, obviously, the story itself is the main part. It is very solid. I mean, it's just a typical kind of underdog type of story. I mean, here you got this little rat who has a gift. I mean, he's got a great sense of smell and taste. He can even read, and he has the ability to cook. Of course, one of the biggest problems is that, well, he's a rat. I mean, who's ever going to let a rat cook? And even if they did, it's not like they would understand him. The other problem is, well, his dad. He is an old rat who just runs the whole rat clan, and as far as he's concerned, there's no way that any rat could be anything but, well, a rat. But he does prove to everyone, including his father, that he really can be something and that he truly is a cook. And as we see at the end of the movie, he actually ends up providing a better life for his cousins and friends because in the end, they literally had a restaurant for the rats. A great story, no doubt, and the plot was really solid. Everything just followed up so perfectly. Many of the other characters were great too, like Alfredo Linguini, who, well, basically he's a screw-up. He never knew that he was the son of a great chef, and apparently he was no good at keeping a job. He even said that, I need this job, I've lost so many, because he was a big fat screw-up. I could definitely sympathize with a guy like that because, he's not trying to be a screw-up. He's just trying to get a life, get a real job and make something out of himself. But the problem is he just doesn't have what it takes. And when he meets Remy, he ends up finding that he does have what it takes to actually be somebody. Now, granted, it's not really clear until the very end, and in fact, I don't think many people realize this, but when the rats take over the kitchen because the cooks left, Linguini proved to be a great waiter. I mean, he had those tables just taken care of like 1, 2, 3, 4. Literally just done, done, done. It takes real talent to do something like that. Believe me, I used to work in the restaurant business. It is not as easy as you think. So in a way, he ended up finding his calling close to the end. Chef Gusteau, who we all know is played by Brad Garrett, basically he was just a figment of Remy's imagination, and I just love how he keeps reminding him of that, because every time Remy is saying, like, how could you not know he was your son? He goes, I'm a figment of your imagination. You didn't know, so I didn't know. That's priceless. It is not every day when a figment of your imagination comes out and says that he is a figment of your imagination. How hilarious is that? Coilette I found to be an interesting character because, she has the obvious typical French woman look. She's got the big honker. For those of you who don't know what a honker is, that means nose. But she is an awesome cook, and she certainly has guts because when she was training Linguini, and technically Remy, even though she had no idea, she was literally able to show them all the best tricks to determine like how you get the best bread, how you get the best herbs, all that kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that we're talking master chef level here. The kind of stuff that nobody ever talks about. So this is a woman who really knows what she's doing. And one of the annoying things about this movie is the fact that Remy really was not going to acknowledge that. In fact, when he was getting mad at Linguini for taking all the credit. Now, I'll admit, him taking the credit is kind of one thing, but he was really not giving Coilette any kind of credit at all. Every time Linguini tried to, Remy would just kind of slap him or whatever, Which basically gives me the impression that Remy was starting to get a swelled head, I mean, I guess it's natural, but still, it just didn't feel right that Remy was getting a swelled head like that. I guess rats are more human than we think. And of course, I cannot talk about this movie without talking about Anton Ego, played by legendary actor Peter O'Toole. He's creepy. He's the definition of the worst kind of food critic that you never want to face. This is the guy who's so famous, who could literally shut you down by saying that you stink. And if you think about it, his name is Anton Ego, which kind of suggests that he has a big ego. And if that's not scary enough, you look at his office. It is shaped like a coffin. His typewriter looks like a skull. This guy is the epitome of the nasty food critic, the ones that hate everything. This is the guy that hates the restaurants that you love to go to. And of course, as we all know, in the end, Remy showed him that anyone can cook. And when Ego lost his job, he really was a lot happier. You could actually see that at the very end of this movie. I mean, he was smiling, he was doing really well, and not to mention, he even looked like he got out of that dark office of his, because obviously being fired, he doesn't have it anymore. I mean, he looked like he actually got out in the sun finally. The man had literally turned over a new leaf. And when you have this great cast, this great solid story, and not to mention the real funny moments that happen in this movie, you got one heck of an awesome Pixar film. Now, if you've never seen it, and I highly doubt you haven't, you really need to look this one up. Believe me, you are gonna love it. And please, let me know what you think of this movie, because I would love to hear what everyone has to say. This is Movie Fan, signing off.